Hey everyone, I'm Nathan with the ebookreader.com. For this video, I'm going to give you guys a look at the new Nova 3 color from Onyx. It's the second color e-reader that they've released, the first being the Poke 2 color, which is on the left. So the screens have been upgraded. They have better color now, better viewing angles. You can't quite see the color filter layer as well as you can on the first gen version. If you look really closely, you can kind of see the color filter layer, especially in the whites. But it's a little bit harder to see on the newer model, and the colors are a little bit brighter. So there's definitely some improvements over the first gen color screens with these new Kaleido Plus screens. There's also another YouTube video on my channel that shows the differences between first gen color ink and color ink a little bit more in detail, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys a quick look at the differences between these two units here. So the color contrast is definitely better on the newer model, but text contrast is still better on a regular e-ink screen. Color ink screens have more of a gray tone to them because the color filter layer doesn't let as much light through. You can kind of see it. So as you can see here, it's still a bit grayer than a regular e-ink screen, but it is nice to have some color for color content. And they upgraded the user interface here, added some color icons. With the Poke 2 color, there wasn't any color interface at all, so it's kind of strange. But yeah, they've updated the interface here for the Nova 3 color. We've got some new features too with the newer software. They've added some new stuff to the Notes app, like you can use colors now with the color screen. So again, with the color ink, you don't have quite the the light background colors. A regular e-ink screen. I already uploaded a comparison video between these two devices here, the regular Nova and the Nova Color. So check out the ebookreader.com if you wanted to see that. The other main difference between them is the Nova 3 color. It doesn't have the orange front light like the regular Nova has. None of the color e-reader models have the orange front light option for whatever reason. I guess it messes with the color. So you just have the cool front light color on the Nova 3 color. All right, so let's talk about the user interface here a bit. So Onyx's devices, they all have the same sort of layout, the same sort of software here. So they run Android 10. You can install apps. You can set all these to either of these different sections to be your home screen. They do have a built-in store, but it doesn't really offer much in the form of English titles. You're mostly just going to find like public domain stuff. And then but you can use other, any app to install books on here that you'd like. They got a whole advanced operating system. You can control a lot of the interface here. You can install Google Play if you would like. I never enable it myself, but you have that option. They have gestures, so you can navigate using gestures. They added these new side gestures with this last update, where you can adjust the front light, or you can set different things to work with the gestures. You can set different home screens too with like the home screen swipe, and it takes you to whatever section you want. You got different kind of navigation on this device. You could set up folders if you wanted to use folders. Of course, you got the Note app. So I feel like I've reviewed the Note app like 20 times. So I'll just kind of go over a couple of the basic features here. So you have different types of writing styles. So different pressure sensitivity. You have pencils, you have pens, brushes have different thicknesses. You can customize exactly how thick you would like your pencil to be or your pen. You got the eraser on the end. So with the color ink, you do notice a lot more ghosting. That's why I wrote that. That's probably the biggest issue I have with the Nova 3. You do have to use the manual to refresh a lot unless you want to see the previous images on the screen. I think Onyx has some work to do as far as the refresh algorithm on this device because as you can see right there, you can see the menu still overlapping. That doesn't seem to be as much of an issue on their black and white devices, but you do notice it more with the color e-ink screen. But you got a whole bunch of features here in the Note app. I've talked about a lot of this stuff in the past. You have the text conversion feature, so you can just have your text converted to handwritten, or your handwritten text converted to typed text. You can also do the same using just the keyboard. Instead of typing keys, you can use your stylus to write the words, and it will recognize those words. So it's kind of a cool feature on the Note devices here. So they added some new stuff with this latest firmware. So you've got the audio recording now. You got different zooming. Actually, that zooming's been there for a while, but you do have the audio recording now. You can also screen capture as well. So that's another new feature they added. So you got various templates with their Note app. You can also load in your own templates, so you're not confined to using just these ones. And they also have some available in the cloud as well. Either way, it's a well-rounded Note app. You got a lot of features, a lot of export options. I'm not sure how much value the color really adds. Do people write notes in color a lot? I don't know. The colors are more pixelated with the 300 ppi for text and 100 ppi for color, so it's a little bit more pixelated with the color writing, and the contrast doesn't stand out as well. But you do have these color contrast options with the software on the Onyx Nova 3, where you can adjust the contrast. As you can see here, the default or the low level, I can't remember what the default level was. I think it had a little bit of added color saturation. But as you can see here, the colors definitely pop a lot more when you play with these settings. So it's something to be aware of. They were quite a bit duller with everything down at the left side of the dial. But if you crank things up a bit, you definitely get some more color, better brightness as well. So one thing with the app here is you have to set it to deep refresh, or you're going to have a lot of ghosting. Like I said earlier, ghosting is definitely an issue with this device. I don't know why they don't have it set up to refresh better, but if you have it set up just with the default settings, like right here, you can actually see the previous pages quite easily through the screen here. You also got that, like I said earlier, you got that front light adjustment. If you swipe up and down the left side of the screen, you got a whole bunch of different quick settings options up here. You can also customize that menu. Let's jump over to the web browser real fast. Another option for color content. But the weird thing about the web browser is by default, it's set up to literally never refresh. And that is really bizarre to me. So you can go in and they have these custom refresh settings that you can trigger at any time, but it's already set to normal. So I'm like, why does the screen never refresh? Turns out it's just how they have it set up. You have to go into the optimized settings and set it to actually refresh normally. So you can do this with any app. This is what sets Onyx apart, which is nice with the Android apps, being able to customize refresh setting, display settings, so it helps make things work on the ink screen that aren't intended to work on the ink screen. But like I said, even their own default app, it's really strange that it never refreshes, so it just makes the ghosting issue way worse. But once you set it to refresh, then it'll refresh it whenever after it's done scrolling, so you don't have the ghosting issue. It looks much cleaner this way. I guess some people don't like the flashing, but I don't know how you would do it any other way because the ghosting just keeps building up. So I find that bizarre that they have that as the default setting. But, as far as ink goes, this is probably the best web browser you're going to get as far as functionality and usefulness. I mean, you got the different text size adjustments you can use up there. You've also got like a screen readability option. So if you enable this screen readability option, it will actually make everything bold. So you can use the stylus as well. You can use it to scroll, use it to select links a little bit easier with the smaller links. So you're not restricted to just using your hands for that. So for some reason, I switched over to the desktop view instead of using the mobile view. I hate mobile websites, so that was one reason. But when you're using the desktop view, you have this option to show, the page formatted differently without the ads and stuff, which is kind of nice. I don't think that was available with the regular view. Maybe it was. But yeah, so another thing, like I was saying earlier, you can set the different settings in here. You can enhance the page visibility, so that will make all the text bold. So that's kind of nice as well for reading on the web browser. So I just wanted to show the web browser really quick. I don't know if very many people actually use web browsers on ink, but I mean, it is usable on this device. But you just got to get the refresh setting correct. I don't know why they have it that way by default, but anyway, with the Android operating system, you have a bunch of options for color content. You can install news apps. You can install a number of ebook apps, comic apps. There's all kinds of possibilities. So again, you kind of have to play with the refresh setting. So by default, with the normal refresh setting, it can be a little wonky navigating this type of news app because of the refresh rate. But you can go ahead and use the speed mode, and the ghosting really isn't too bad, but you may have to refresh more often manually. So you can use the navigation ball to refresh. It has a whole bunch of extra features on here. You can customize those as well. So, different options with this Onyx e-reader. It's a very advanced device compared to your typical e-reader, obviously with the notepad and everything. And then you've got the Android operating system. You can access your recent apps from the navigation menu. You can also use the gestures to swipe up from the lower left corner, and that will take you to your recent apps as well. So jumping through the recent apps, it works pretty well. That's just one of the nice things about Onyx's software, having the advanced features here. And another thing I like is they have this custom screensaver option in here where you can go ahead and set up your screensaver image to be whatever you'd like. But the one I like the best is the transparent screensaver. It'll just show whatever was on the screen last. That comes in handy for a number of things. So yeah, it's definitely nice on the Onyx operating system, having a wide range of features and different things going on here. Like I said, you can install Google Play if you want to have apps, but they have this onboard app store that I use. It has a bunch of reading apps in here. It's sort of a reading-centric app store. You got some news apps, some study tools and stuff like that. So you don't have to use the Google Play if you don't want. It's easy to sideload apps as well. So I don't know. The Google can be kind of a hassle to deal with, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this review right here. check out the ebookreader.com for the full review on this device. Like I said, having color is quite nice, but it's a little bit of a downgrade when you're talking about just reading regular ebooks, because the text contrast isn't quite as good, and there's definitely more ghosting issues noticeable when you're using color ink, because it just kind of stands out a bit more. But you know, it is nice for stuff like comics and magazines, having that color content versus just the black and white content and a regular e-reader. So thank you guys for watching. I'm going to wrap up this video. Have a good day. Bye.